Today we're going to be working on some EOG type problems. I want you to practice reading an EOG problem and thinking about what you learned this year that applies to this problem. So let's start reading the problem. Jai and Khloe's coach recorded their average running times in a graph. Now let's take a little time to read and understand the graph. Average running times is the title. X is the time in minutes. Y is the distance. So let's just take an example. If we were to read the x-axis from the 3, okay, so 3 would be minutes, 3 minutes, and that would go with 600 meters. So 600 meters covered in 3 minutes. All right, now the next question I have is why are there two lines that are graphed? So let's look down here. We have a key, and it shows that Jai's line is this dashed or dotted line right here. So that's Jai's line. Maybe you even want to label it. All right, and then we have Khloe's line is the solid line. So let's choose a different color for Khloe. So this is Khloe's line. So I read a point off of Khloe's line. So that means that Khloe's the one who ran 600 meters in 3 minutes. So if I read a point off of this line, it's telling me information about Jai. All right, I think I've read the graph. I think I understand it. So I'm going to move on to the question. Who is the faster runner? A, Khloe by running 600 meters per minute. B, Jai by running 300 meters per minute. All right, I think I'm understanding what they're asking here. When I see this word per, it clues me in that they're talking about a unit rate. If they have some number being compared to another number with a per in between, this is a ratio. This is a rate. So we are comparing unit rates. So I think about what I learned about unit rates. Unit rate, another name for it is the constant of proportionality. And the letter we use for unit rate is K. K comes from the word constant in German because in a proportional relationship, the unit rate is the same throughout. And these are actually two proportional relationships. Look, Khloe's line is a straight line that contains 0, 0. Jai's line is a straight line that contains 0, 0. So these are both proportional relationships. So their unit rate is going to be the same throughout the entire line. So it doesn't matter which point I choose to find the unit rate. Remember, from a graph, to find the unit rate, we have to pick a point. So I'm going to start with looking at Jai's line and figuring out his unit rate. So I'm going to follow this along until I see a point that I like. And by a point that I like, I mean a point where the grid lines cross. Now this point, let's see, right here, I see that the grid lines perfectly cross at this point. So I'm going to use this point. So I'll draw a line down to the x-axis, and my x is 2. And then I'll draw a line over to the y-axis, and my y is 600. And then I'm going to move over the typing tool so that this is a little bit easier to write. So the 2 was the x, the y was the 600, and the x is the time in minutes. I want to just record the units. So don't write time, write minutes. So 2 minutes is my x, and then 600 is the distance in meters. Again, just write the units. So meters, 600 meters. And then I need to record my unit rate formula. My unit rate formula is K equals y divided by x. You will use this formula over and over again on the EOG, so you have to memorize this. K equals y over x. That is the unit rate formula. The first thing I'm going to fill in is the y value. The y value is 600 meters. 600 meters. I like to write the word per to go with this fraction bar. So I attach the per to the fraction bar, and then I need to figure out the x value. The X value is 2 minutes. So 600 meters per 2 minutes. Currently, this is a rate, but it's not a unit rate. For it to be a unit rate, the denominator would have to be 1. So we're going to do what this formula says to do. This fraction bar is telling us to divide. So 600 divided by 2 is 300. Actually, yeah, I grabbed the typing tool already. So Jai's unit rate is 300 meters per minute. Meters per minute. All right, we're ready to look at Khloe's unit rate. So I'll change over to the color I chose for Khloe. And I'm going to choose a point for Khloe. So I'll follow along, and I see that the first point that looks pretty nice to use, I like this point right here. The grid lines cross right here so that this point lines up perfectly with the 1 on the x-axis and the 200 on the y-axis. And then I'll start labeling my point. So 1 is x, 200 is y. The x was the time in minutes, so that's 1 minute. And the 200 was the distance in meters, so it's 200 meters. Next, I need to recall my unit rate formula. The unit rate formula is k equals y divided by x. This helps me to take the point that I chose and find the unit rate. The y is 200 meters, so I plug that in to the numerator. The x is 1 minute, so I plug that into the denominator. And what's nice about this point, the point that I chose, is one of the, we talked about there being a special point on the graph. And the special point is where x is equal to 1. Where x is 1, the y value is the unit rate. So the unit rate is 200. This is already in unit rate form, 200 meters per 1 minute. 200 meters per minute. All right, so I'm going to type Khloe's unit rate is 200 meters per minute. Meters per minute. So now I think that I'm ready to read the question again and the answer choices. Who is the faster runner? All right, so let's look back. Jai's unit rate is 300 meters per minute. So he's covering 300 meters in 1 minute, while Khloe is only covering 200 meters in 1 minute. So the faster runner is Jai. So the answer should have Jai as we're saying that Jai is faster. So right away, I'm gonna pay attention to the ones that say Jai is faster. So letter B, Jai by running 300 meters per minute. Wow, that looks like the correct answer. All right, let's look at this one next just to make sure this isn't correct. Jai by running 900 meters per minute. Well, the part that's incorrect is the 900 meters. He doesn't run 900 meters per minute. He runs 300 meters per minute. And a good test taker reads every choice, so I'm going to go back and say why these are incorrect. Khloe by running 600 meters per minute. Well, she did not run 600 meters per minute, and Khloe is not the faster runner. All right, who's the faster runner? Khloe. That's not true, and she did not run 300 meters per minute. Okay, and then part E, Khloe did run 200 meters per minute, but she's not the faster runner, so that won't answer the question. So this is the answer. Who is the faster runner? Jai by running 300 meters per minute. And the information that you learned this year about unit rate allowed you to choose a point from the graph, find the unit rate for each, make a comparison, and answer the question.